Yeah, it felt so good, man, to like draw these back up.
I know it was so weird. I had a listen earlier, like just with the link, and yeah, it was weird. It's like so many things. Like I forgot about the bit with the looper at the beginning.
Mm.
Just like so many parts, I guess, because we kind of played around with it quite a bit, and it had like like a few different sort of moments.
Yeah, it's definitely like collage, right? I mean, that's what it felt like. I think even I'm thinking about it now. Like, I think it was like the first thing we would have worked on as well.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think so. I think maybe Fever was the first thing we recorded.
I think so. Yeah, and I also think you can kind of hear that. I don't know. Maybe it's subtle, and it's because we've done a lot of stuff together now. But you can kind of hear the getting to know each other of the
Yeah.
the performance of it, which I think lends to the sentiment of the song too, because it's kind of like an unsettled tone to it all, you know.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah,
time we were
totally.
doing like gods and stuff, there was a pretty assured approach, which spoke to the kind of conviction of that song, but wouldn't necessarily speak to the conviction of these two.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because it was like the first time. Well, we didn't really know each other either,
No.
really. Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't even just getting used to writing together. It was like kind of like hanging out and getting to know each
Yeah.
other and like. But I think you can also hear it's like we were pretty comfortable like quite early on.
Yeah.
Being in the flat and stuff as well. It was nice like to record there, and
I was thinking
it was
about
all
that.
pretty.
Right? That apartment, I see it so vividly, like in my brain, like those. Also, I was thinking because when I was looking for all the um, backgrounds and the ad libs and stuff, there was so many. Like I remember there was like a unique feeling that I could like step really far away in that room from the microphone and just sing out a certain way, and it would just sound like it had loads of effects on it because of the room.
Yeah.
I remember being like obsessed with that. I think I remember you just looking at me quite a few times, being like, "What the hell are we doing?"
Yeah, no, you were just like, go further back, and I'd be like over the other side of the room, and I was just like ad libbing, like towards the microphone.
it made
But
sense,
it's
though.
natural effects rack. That's that was the
Yeah.
vibe, wasn't it? We were sort of like using the tools that we had and whatever.
And also, I just think there's that element of sometimes I think as a recording artist, you can be so close to the microphone um, that it sort of loses its, you need that for amplification and to obviously if it was live and then obviously to get the audio down in the recording studio. But sometimes personally, I think in the performance, that relationship that you're having in that the physical world can just detract from what you're trying to have in kind of the metaphysical one of like feeling it out, whereas
Yeah.
that being really far out from the thing, for some reason personally for me I could just do like runs, like I could do like genuine runs that I couldn't do before. I
Yeah.
missed that room basically.
I know it's weird because obviously we've not long like moved back to the UK from Berlin and like left that flat, so it's kind of weird. Like it was definitely time to leave, but already, I mean, it's only been like a few months now. I already have like all these like nostalgic feelings, like that you kind of expect it'll take like a couple of years or something at least for you to kind of feel those ways. But I've got like all the Berlin days. They were like in that little apartment, and it was really good.
Yeah.
We use it, but we're building a wee home here, so hopefully we'll have our own version of that, but by the seaside pretty soon.
But did you think, like, because obviously that song, obviously we hadn't really worked on songs before, and obviously post that, because I think like the first initial like melody ideas I remember I did in like Woodall, my mum's house, but that was I think that's just after like Boy had come out. I think that the only thing I'd done solo, and obviously Half Brother. Obviously now,
Mm-hmm.
when like I'll come to you with songs, it makes a little bit more sense because we've done a lot of stuff together and certain things have been well received and that, and there's like a grounds. Whereas then it was a bit, surely it was a bit like you had to blind faith a little bit in a way.
Yeah, but I fear I didn't question it. I think it's interesting that you say that because I sort of like I also see that on the flip side. So it's like your blind faith in like me, if you know what I mean, because you've got like things that you're working on. Whereas at the time, like I was going through quite a quiet spell, like music wise. I was kind of working on stuff myself, but in a very like private way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it was like the first time I had, because I've never really co-written, or I've never, even though we kind of have like our process where we're sort of in the room and we bounce ideas, but we kind of go into like our own little bubbles and we write like our own parts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never even really done that before. I've always done everything in quite an isolated way.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was really nice. And even though the apartment was like super small,
Yeah.
like we still managed. And maybe that was why it kind of always felt like we were writing together, actually, even though we were kind of in our own spaces at the same time.
Yeah. But I almost feel like
But,
this. I think that we sound different. Like, to me, I don't know if that's because you're so used to recording yourself, but it feels of the time almost, you know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's not like listening back to them. Like I kind of love the. They're definitely very free feeling, the tracks. Like everything is like, it's not like, and I don't mean it's not tight. Like I don't mean that like in a negative sense. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it sounds like we were kind of jamming, and it's got this like really free flowing feeling to it, which I actually like. It's like quite organic sounding.
Well, that's the thing I think with now. That's why it felt like right to like give it away, and then also even more right to not overanalyze, which has been the hindrance I think all this time. You know, like I opened the session, I started making adjustments, you know, last night, and just stopped myself and just felt sort of looking at the sum of the parts. You know, I felt you know, like the collage element to it, in the sense of the, like you say, the looper instrumental vocals you had, and these random like audio clips from like iPhone, and noises of me recording you, and you know, it just felt like the kind of like Robert Rauschenberg like collage, but like really with like ready-made stuff, you know, like it wasn't, you know, we weren't meticulously going over every take. There's a lot of stuff actually that didn't get in, because as I went through the tracks, it's a classic Gilli.jpg and SCALLY or recording session with 100,000 takes. But it just felt like now I go, like I say, I could go in and I could nudge stuff, and we could align stuff, and we could, you know, but that's not what now feels like. The world doesn't need perfection in a way from creativity. I feel like and now I respect that even more. It feels even more right to give it away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think it's yeah, I mean, where do we start with everything that's going on, to be honest? But I sort of yeah, to be honest, I think I've kind of, I don't like perfect music anyway. Like, so even sort of before this, like I'm never someone that's like, oh, everything must be like by the book. And like I remember, I can't remember who it was that I watched, but I watched some YouTube video years ago of like a singer, and she was just like, you know, like for me, I don't mind that I go out of tune, because like that's like it's just sound. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be perfect. It gives a character. It's like there's still emotion involved. Like, and that was a bit different, because I am quite a clean singer, I would say. So like learning to like embrace like whatever just happens in that time. There's like no right and wrong. I find that quite liberating and quite freeing as a vocalist, because especially a female vocalist, maybe you're so like, the male vocal has a bit more character in it, like generally, and I think a female vocal are like normally pretty like over processed kind of sound. Maybe that's me going back to my pop singing days a little there, but yeah, I enjoy it for sure.
I think that was the sessions though, right? It was very, you know, like me engineering like the vocals, and we just sat next to each other and just like switch stool. Like if you get an idea, just put it down, and like I say, I'm just saying like go to the other side of the room, and you know, there was no, I guess there was no wrong way to do it, which meant that it felt much more like we could cogitate on like really meditate and excavate on every single idea naturally, and just the take would be, we'd be able to look at each other and know if it was right, versus I guess that's the difficulty of working remote is you don't get to feel each other out, or like see the color of the room when something bright is happening.
Yeah.
Which I guess we got a lot in that, because it was your apartment, so we could just take a break and go to a little corner shop and get all like the spiti, but then also that nice wine shop that was there. And there's just so bad, yeah. But also it's that thing of, I think we talked about it a lot, the principle of like servile ornament, in the sense of like there being no kind of inferiority in the creation, but then at the same time I really wanted to sing something that sounded almost like gospel-y, or like it denoted like a calling to a higher thing. And that was sort of what like fever pitching was for me. Like, and it was the first time I felt like I wrote something that felt a bit hymnal, or it evoked in the language something that referenced that world. I think it's pretty hard to tell now. But I do remember thinking, like, I don't think there would be like God's an Only Child without this song.
Yeah, that's true. Like playing around with those kind of like concepts and stuff, I remember sort of feeling. And I remember having the conversation about the gospel thing as well, because we both love gospel music, and R&B music and like a lot of other music are like with a similar feeling. And it just sort of felt weird for like us to like, I'm just like from Glasgow and you're from Lincoln. I want to say Lincoln. I feel like I'm not sure if I'm getting that right.
That's like 20 miles away. That's the closest city, so you're pretty bang on.
I'm good. But yeah, and it just feels so weird, like culturally. Like I'm not from like that kind of like a particularly religious background. I've never been to like a gospel church or anything. So it's but then you take on those like influences, and it was a strange one. I wanted that to be an influence, but I felt a bit uncomfortable, and I think we worked through that with these tracks, just like embracing those influences like in our vocals, because it's they're there. And I felt a bit conflicted about that. That was definitely something that I didn't feel like, I wasn't sure if it was authentic. I guess and then as we worked through, I was like, oh no, this feels completely like natural. This obviously I've been influenced either directly or indirectly with gospel music from like R&B music that I've listened to, like since I was a kid. It's definitely infiltrated.
Yeah, and I think it's that sort of respect thing as well, isn't it? We talk about you can learn the chords, but you can't just do that. Like, you have to understand the kind, or the origin of this, what the music was made for, and who it was made by. And I think that's why, I think lyrically anyway, but like, I guess for fever pitching, it's quite dissonant, and it's not like it's not necessarily trying to be overly conscious and clear. It's supposed to be quite out there and a bit fanciful in the imagery. But then like stay for 2 years is like, so it was kind of down the line really. But I remember I had the verse and the hook, but I remember your verse, I remember what we I think we just batted that about a bit, but I think I like
that verse actually. When I was listening, because I see that actually like as a surprise, but you never really like your own stuff, I guess. And I was just, when I was listening, I was like, oh, I like this, and I like the tone, and I like the way that you've put my vocals together and stuff. Like, it's one of my favorite verses I think that I've written actually.
Mad.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's cool. It's exciting. I'm glad that we're going to finally share this with people.
Yeah, I just felt, I don't know, I've been, I think now working on, obviously we're working on a bigger project, and working with Evie and working with Kit on the Demercy stuff, and everything feels very considered, and which is not wrong. That's certainly a process, but always examining each process. It's made me look at some of the other things that, again, I've talked to loads of different people about it, but there's a million things that we all have on hard drives that are really, really good. And maybe that's not the version of it. Maybe that thing could go on another song, or just needs a a half a day, or it needs a mixer or an arranger just to do something with it. But with this stuff, I really don't know if I can put my finger on why it never felt like a time to do it. I think timing was weird. I think things started changing, and then but I don't know. I think I just sort of sat there thinking about the humanity of it all, and then going, there's so many people that want to hear music, and I thought, oh man, like, I really haven't actually put out that. I've been focusing on other people's stuff so much in the musical space, and we've been working so much together on stuff that will come together soon. But I think you start to realize now that the need of people to have like warming music and stuff that's not, there's the one thing that this isn't perfect. It certainly can't be leveled that it's contrived. It's really down the line on its morals. And I don't know. Yeah, just I guess it's a broader understanding of like the need of music rather than the need of yourself to maybe feel a certain way before you can give it away. That's probably the realization, I think. And like I say, just sending it to people directly as well.
Well, that's the thing as well. It's like because I don't think I'm one or the other, but you can either be the type of artist that kind of needs to create stuff because it needs to come out of you, and you don't necessarily mind if people hear it or not, or consume it or whatever. But and then there's people that sort of make music with the intention that they want to connect with people and they want to share something, create like a moment or change like someone's mood or whatever. And I think I kind of do both. I think some of my stuff definitely feels a bit more like self-indulgent and more about me, I guess. And then there's other things that are like more about sharing. And I think like, I don't know, these tracks are quite like intimate tracks. And there is like a lot fused with the tracks, like we're talking about it now, like the memories and like like when we met and different things that were going on in our lives at those times and the places we were, and that's definitely a part of it. But with everything that is kind of going on just now, it feels like you don't want to like have ownership, you want to share everything. So it's, I don't know if that is how you feel about it, but it just does feel like giving and sharing and just being a bit more relaxed about stuff. I feel like I'm still learning a lot about this situation that we're in just now. It's such like a deep process, and I'm like, I wonder if I'll look back and be like, oh, that changed my life forever, changed who I am as a person. I haven't quite worked it out, or changed my music and how I like to share my music. Maybe this will be the beginning of an outpouring of sharing lots of stuff.
Yeah, because I feel like if I could speak to that sentiment, I think they are like the interconnected times, because it was for us together working on songs. I think for us personally, like, you just moved to a new country. I soon after moved to that country and was very sort of like fled to it, I guess. We were all very much just sort of like holding on to each other, trying to figure out what the like new reality that we were in was. Not to say speak it too grandly. Obviously, it was certainly a personal experience versus a global like humanity experience that we're in now. But I feel like you look back, like it takes times like this for you to look back on those times in your life with a more like a clearer viewfinder on the whole thing, and an actual a not so emotional understanding of why those things were happening or why you were making those decisions. And so now, when you're kind of in a shocked position, you start to interconnect it with other moments in your life to try and develop understanding or game plans to move forward with some sort of calm, and I think that's why for some reason these just there was no plan to put these out, so why did it come to mind, and why did it feel okay for us to say let's just do it, and why feel doing it this way, like all of them. I think that sort of lack of control and feeling like there's something more divine at play is why moments like this can be enlightening, because you take yourself out of the equation a bit more.
I
Um,
think we take everything too seriously. maybe that's going to be my ultimate list, because I like to think I'm quite a laid back person in a lot of ways, but it does make you realise that you probably do take yourself and the things that you do in life, like to each individual, everything just seems like so big,
yeah,
important or like critical, and that things can have that feeling, and yeah, maybe that'll be my sort of takeaway, is just to like just chill out. Chill
good.
out a little,
I think the
have
thing,
more fun.
I'm being like closer to the earth, right? Like just to spend time with it, you know. I think especially because these things now that we make just exist on hard drives and, you know,
Mm,
like broken SoundCloud links, you know, like that's the narrative post, you know, at the moment, that it doesn't feel right anymore. But
yeah,
like the actual, until you step back into that and think, oh yeah, we were sat in that room, like just getting to understand each other as people, and then, you know, being open enough to sing out and make these two pieces of music,
mm,
speaks to why we do these things together still now. But I don't think about that really.
yeah,
You know, there isn't a me, you, and Danny Kemp's record without these two songs, so that's why they've got place and they deserve
yeah.
acknowledgement, I guess.
Yeah, it's like the beginning of the journey. It's just like with Kit's the last single that Kit put out, and like that was when we met. That was like
Mm.
4 years ago. And then again it was like obviously like before the current situation, or just before the current situation. But yeah, it's so strange how like timing can just make something like feel like now,
Yeah.
whether it's because you kind of like you want to share or you need to share, but eventually everything sort of like gets its moment in the sun,
Yeah.
which is
And I think
nice. And
especially with like being able to like bring a sentiment into a song, and it's, you know, those sentiments, you know, it's like whether you love drinking because it makes you talk, or whether you love conversation because it makes you thirsty. You know, it's like, where's the yearning coming from? You know,
mm,
um, and so for that, like, yeah, you could say, you know, you and Kit meeting each other, and then me knowing him. I didn't know him that well in the beginning, so to get to this point is quite, it's like a severe curve of like care for
yeah,
each other, like collectively. um,
yeah,
so it feels kind of strange now to think of these ones not actually having much. Um, I don't know. Yeah, maybe just don't put enough sort of value in moments when, you know, things are kind of coming together as they should. Um,
yeah. But it's so easy just to like, just to like skip past things sometimes. It's like, okay, and like on to the next thing. And,
yeah,
like we were working on like tons of music at the time, and you were working on the album with Slinger, and that was like a huge project. You had like it was like an album, so it's when with those things as well, like so soon after, it's like really, it's easy to kind of like just hop straight off of one like project or one song or whatever into the next, and yeah, and then that was for you, I guess, like a good part of a year really
yeah,
working on that, and obviously with some for me, but like with lots of other collaborators and stuff as well, and you very much like put that project together, um so yeah, it takes up a lot of time and like focus and creativity and stuff.
I think it's also that intuition thing of, I think I knew how good these songs were, that sometimes when things come together quite easily and they sound so great, you know, not, you know, just from personally you feeling that way. I don't know, sometimes
Mm.
because there wasn't a pain in it, that it didn't like to create, like it wasn't difficult, like you're not so excited to give it the full light of day. I don't know if that's some like sadistic thing in me, I don't know, but it's like, you know, when things are hard to make, that's when, you know, the release of the relief and the release of it, you know, is so much sweeter. But, you know, your brain thinks because it doesn't know, like your intuition knows, and this one, like, it didn't require that intuition. It was just there, like, and we just jumped in it. And I think I was
Yeah.
quite proud of it, and it never occurred to me to give it play. Although I do say, remembering, I actually, when I did the one show I ever did on my own, as SCALLY, just after like the boy thing came out, like art gallery thing. And I remember we just done these, and I remember I think you were gonna be over at the same time in London. There was like some way it was maybe gonna come together, but it didn't happen. And I remember I did fever pitching at the show, and I remember like getting like a great reaction from the crowd and telling everyone like, oh yeah, you know, this is I'm going to put this out in like a week. And like I think I don't know how long it's been since that project came out, probably like 5 years. So that's funny. It makes me feel old.
Yeah, I know. Let's not even get into the concept of time.
Dude.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. It's let's just think what the tracks have been like maturing and sort of like sitting there, you know. But yeah, like fever pitching it's such a captivating track. Like as soon as you hear it, like even, you know, like even when it was just the track before we started really working on the melodies and the lyrics and stuff, I think you actually put your stuff down, or parts of it first, didn't you, before? So I think like the chorus and stuff was already there. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, for me anyway, like after one listen, you're already like, you kind of like know the track, or you're just in it like right away. It's like really beautiful, I think.
I think we came up with the majority of it together, because I remember the hook, like just the Fever bit was on another song in a different kind of way that it ended up going on this, I think. But that's all I think I came with, to be fair. So yeah, I think, and even like Danny, like, you know, Danny being the last piece for both of the songs, like just sending like shredding guitar on 2 songs, really beautiful guitar in some places. But that again, like, you know, we weren't thinking about doing a record all together at that time. But some of the earliest versions of some of the songs we're going to put out have reference to stuff that was being conceived of then, even though the project didn't, you know, it's like you know, it wouldn't exist without that, you know, like, and like I say, like, captivating. Say again?
Just like it's like the momentum, you know, like every track or whatever that we've kind of worked on is like, and it hasn't, I guess, kind of happened in order, like the way that we've kind of bouncing back and forth sort of like between things, you know. Because we both like to have like a few projects on the go at all times. It's not like we're just like, this is the main thing, I'm going to focus on this. It's you know, we like the collaboration, and we both have like quite eclectic styles in the kind of music that we put out. Even the stuff we've done together is like already like belongs to like so many different genres, you know. And that's really cool, and I like that. But yeah, I don't know, it's I just feel like we've been bouncing, but now that I look back, it seems to like make sense. Like it was like a clear path between all these projects and all these songs, and maybe not quite as random as it maybe felt in the past.
I think that's fair, and I think it's like they're owed to that courtyard, you know, that you were living, your windows are facing to. Like these, to me, it's like it's of that place and of that time, and I'm like so happy to, like, I can see it there, I can hear it out of the windows and stuff, and I think it's nice that it can, in a time when we all travel so much, and we're all like, now we can't travel, so again, it's like you don't have to be there, but you can know it speaks from that place, you know. And it wouldn't have been made the same if it wasn't in that spot. I don't believe, anyway.
No,
it feels kind of nice.
it was great. We got into our routines pretty fast, like working on stuff. Like you'd come over, or I'd finish work, whatever, you'd come over, and we'd always have red wine, and I'd always have a bowl of crisps. It's like recording essentials, and then Kit would come over and be like, are you guys still working on stuff? Like, because I have this habit, like I will, like, as you know, like just keep doing takes until like someone tells me to stop. And when we both write, I think some people write in like little kind of like small little blurbs of writing, whereas we're both quite like intensive, so we could like just sit and write for like 8 hours with, you know, like with just crisps and wine, and that's like all that's really needed to like keep things going. But I'm not really someone that tends to dip in and out. I tend to go from like not doing anything with music to going into like really intensive like phases. But yeah, I think yeah, I don't know, I'm getting nostalgic about crisps and wine.
What a time in life that was.
Yeah, I know.
But then again, like, it was that thing of, I don't think we went back to them like once. Like, I don't think we recorded it and then went back like 4 times to add new pieces. I genuinely think that was like maybe 2, like maybe 1 or 1.5 sessions each,
Yeah.
and that's it. You know, which feels great, man. Back to those times, you know. Things taking so long to feel right. Like I guess, I don't know why they felt right so soon, but I guess again that's why I'm like, I don't want to do 1,000,001 things to make them ready for everyone else now. So just give them away, man.